What is going on, everybody? Gamers Goon here today with your Week 5 NFL predictions, where we pick every single game of the week in Week 5. Guess what? We start this week. We start bye weeks. My Chicago Bears have a Week 5 bye week, coming off a win against the Raiders. Not the right time for a bye week. You don't really want these early bye weeks. Might be good for the Bears because they're a little injured at the moment. You're going to hope maybe to see some of your secondary return, Kyler Gordon being the main one. Maybe TJ Edwards as well. But Atlanta, Green Bay, Pittsburgh, all going to be joining Chicago in watching games on Sunday rather than playing in them. So we'll see what that can do for these teams and see if maybe the early bye can help some of them and kind of see how it hurts some of them. But we'll have to talk about those teams next week, because this week we got some good games. I'm coming off an 8-7 in 1 week. Shout out to the Cowboys for their tie against Green Bay. But 8-7-1 last week. Had the tie. Should have probably been 9-7, but Green Bay kind of choked, and we've seen them do that recently. But we're going to start it off on Thursday night. San Francisco going up against the Rams. And Puka Nacua, I have to give him a special shout out. He has been the best receiver in the NFL this year. If you're Matthew Stafford, just find Puka Nacua. It's that easy. Yes, you have Devontae Adams. Yes, you have Kyrie Williams, Blake Corum, all these guys. Puka Nacua is different. This dude's been absolutely great to start the season. The 49ers don't really have the secondary to really match up to Puka, in my opinion. It was a team that didn't look so great against the Jaguars. They actually lost to the Jaguars. You're going to need, if you're the 49ers, you need to have Brock Purdy and company keep you in this game. Now, Brock Purdy popping back up on the injury report after that game as well. So he's questionable heading into next week. You might be seeing another game of him being out. All signs point to, especially on a short week, this is the Rams game to lose. I'm going with the Rams to win this one, 28-21. It's just the Rams look really good offensively. I respect their defense as well. And this Rams team, it went from being maybe a team that I didn't really so trust to, with how well, and if Puka can stay healthy, this team is legitimately maybe a top 3 team heading into the playoffs in the NFC. Will they ultimately make top 3? I don't know. But this team is really, really good at the moment, and the offense is firing on all cylinders. We'll see in this game against the 49ers if they can continue that, but I'm taking the Rams to win in that game on Thursday night. One of the primetime games I'm actually excited about. Finally, a primetime game that's decent, other than maybe Seattle last week. Next, we have the Sunday morning game. I believe this one's in London. The Vikings playing again early in the morning, coming off a loss to Pittsburgh. They get a run into the Browns, who've kind of uniquely had some, they haven't been good. Their offense has not been good. Quinshon Judkins really being the biggest factor on their offense and kind of giving them some juice. Jerry Jeudy has been involved here and there. Obviously, he's a good player. Cedric Tillman went down with injury in the last game. Isaiah Bond came along last game as well. But the rumor mill's starting to pick up in Cleveland. I don't know if this is the week, but I'll tell you the week is sure as heck coming. And I've been when I did this with Jackson Dart, not too long after Jackson Dart was a starting QB in New York, and they won their first game. Cleveland, they won a game with Joe Flacco, but the offense is not good. The offense kind of is stalling out, and I'm not saying Dillon Gabriel or Shedeur Sanders are going to come in and change the whole thing, right? I'm not saying this offense is going to go from being a bottom 5 offense to being somewhere in the middle of the pack or even in the top 5, right? Like, that's not what I'm saying with getting a QB change. I just don't see the point of playing an old QB here in Joe Flacco on a team that is realistically not going to be competing for the playoffs. You want to see what you have in your young QBs, whether that is Shedeur Sanders or Dillon Gabriel. And Dillon Gabriel is next on the depth chart, and he's already got some game experience this season in a game where they pulled Joe Flacco. I think it was like week 2. He has a touchdown pass. Dillon Gabriel will be the starting QB for the Browns when they do decide to make that decision. Is that this week? There's the rumor mill started to pick up. I mean, it's kind of been in the back of everybody's head. They're like, Flacco's not really showing much. When are they going to pull the trigger? It's starting to sound like that staff is starting to consider going in Dillon Gabriel's favor. Is that this week? I don't know. Short week, less prep time. You're going to have to travel overseas because they're not overseas just yet. They had to travel there. I don't know if it's this week, especially off the short week, but it's coming. Dillon Gabriel's time is coming in Cleveland. We'll see if it's this weekend. Or, well, this weekend. But ultimately, this game should not really matter if Dillon Gabriel plays or Shedeur plays or Joe Flacco plays. Minnesota, they've kind of had a weird thing going on where sometimes they look good, sometimes they don't. This team's better than the Browns. I think Carson Wentz has given them some life. He's getting the ball to Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison, who is now back with this team. TJ Hawkinson, obviously, on the offensive side. Jordan Mason's been good. Xavier Scott has kind of been an interesting pull out of nowhere. I didn't even know who this guy was, and then a couple weeks ago when Aaron Jones went down, they got this guy Xavier Scott, and they kind of been using him in the passing game a little bit, and he's kind of been interesting. He had a touchdown last week, and I had him on my fantasy bench. But either way, they've started to kind of accumulate some players that can do some damage. And like Jordan Mason, he was starting the year off at RB2, but he's a very capable RB1. We saw it last year with the 49ers. The Browns, it'll depend. I mean, Quinshon, I expect a good game out of Quinshon. Quinshon's not a problem for this team. Quinshon's fine. Who else makes an impact? And the receivers' impact are somewhat limited due to QB play in Cleveland. I think this is going to be an interesting game. It's a game I'm looking forward to, a game I might actually get up and watch. I wasn't really too eager about watching the Steelers. I turned it on once I did get up because I went out shopping in the morning and getting groceries and came back and I was like, all right, I'll throw on the game. This game might be a game I tune into if Dillon Gabriel gets to start. But I'm taking Minnesota 27-21. We'll see. Just why are we giving the international games like complete garbage like matchups? Not to say this isn't going to be a decent game, but if you're trying to draw interest with the international crowd in London or Brazil or wherever you go, don't you think maybe, just maybe, we could give them, let's look at a game, Denver and Philly this week, or maybe we could give them, Denver and Philly might be the best game of the week. Yeah, the San Francisco game would have made some sense, but there's not very many great games. Tampa Bay and Seattle won't be bad. I would figure he'd give them a game that maybe they can get invested into the NFL rather than maybe seeing what could end up being a low-scoring game. I have it 27-21. Could be a low-scoring game. You never know with the Browns. Next, we get to Dallas going up against the Jets. Justin Fields and the Jets came up short last night, but Justin Fields looks good. I don't think that the problem is Justin Fields. I don't think the problem is Breece Hall. The offensive line's not great. The Jets just kind of unfortunate, to be honest with you. I don't think they're a bad team. And they're a team that honestly might be able to pull off this victory against the Cowboys. I don't have them doing it. The Cowboys' defense is no good. I don't care what anybody says, especially when you're playing Justin Fields and you're lacking your premier pass rusher in Micah Parsons. Who is stopping Justin Fields from doing what he did last night? And Justin Fields going on, I think it was like a 45-yard rushing touchdown. Who's stopping Justin Fields from running the ball on this Cowboys team? Their linebackers, maybe? Their defensive line, nobody really scares me. You have Kenny Clark up the middle, but Justin Fields is very rarely going to run up the middle. I don't see how they could, have answers for the run game here from Justin Fields. You might be able to limit Breece Hall a little bit. The pass game is kind of just up in the air. I don't think the Cowboys necessarily have a good secondary. They have a decent secondary, so maybe They'll have some success defending it. Obviously, try to put your best guy on Garrett Wilson. But the other thing is, this Dallas offense has looked good against Green Bay. They really did, and that was kind of unexpected because I think Green Bay has a good defense. The run game has been cooking for them. You got George Pickens, who's making big play after big play in that game. You have Kevontae Turpin, obviously, kind of thrusted into a little bit bigger of a role now that CD is out. Flournoy getting some run there. Jalen Tolbert getting some run there. It's kind of a different look Dallas team without CD, but they're still a capable offense. And I got Dallas winning this game 35-28. I think they'll give up points to this Jets team. But ultimately, Dallas is the better team, both on paper and in reality. There should be no reason for Dallas to lose this game. I think their defense will struggle with the running side of Justin Fields, but ultimately, their offense should be able to win them this football game. And the problem here with Dallas has always been, and it's in like the last 5 years, offense hasn't been the biggest issue with them. Yes, there's some issues on the offensive side. The last few years, they haven't really been able to run the ball very well. They've figured it out a little bit this year. Defensively has always been a big question for them. They just always seem to give up a ton of points. We'll see what they can do against the Jets, but this is a Jets team that if you do play good defense, they're not going to beat you offensively. But if you give them something, they will take it. Justin Fields, very capable. Next, we get to Denver versus Philly. I think this is going to be a good game. Denver coming off a big win against the Broncos. And when I was saying, hey, you got to stop making these primetime games bad, we should have flexed that Broncos game, man. We should have flexed it. The Joe Burrow-less Bengals should never have another primetime game. I get it. People bought tickets to that game. You cannot have Cincinnati on primetime. Like, it's not good. It's not good. And I get sometimes, like, Monday makes sense, right? If you had them scheduled for a Monday night game, you really can't change that. But what I'm saying is, hey, if it's a 7:20 game on Sunday night, you got to move them earlier in the day because it's ridiculous. This Bengals team is not good. The Broncos kind of proved that. Cortland Sutton, shout out to him getting me my fantasy win this week. A sketchy win, man. I have Chase Brown, and I was starting Miles Sanders. My running backs in my Dynasty League, I had Brian Robinson. He got traded. Shout out to Krosky Merritt. And then it kind of snowballed. And then Burrow got hurt, and it's hurting Chase Brown. But I'm 3-1. I'm 3-1 because Jacoby Myers, Cortland Sutton, the boys. I had Lamar go down this week and only got 11 points out of him. But Cortland Sutton stepping up. Drake London stepping up. My defense stepping up. My kicker stepping up. I mean, everybody stepped up. And we're somehow 3-1 with one legit running back in Chase Brown that's kind of being limited at the moment because Jake Browning can't find him. But the Broncos, Bo Nix looked really good last night. Cortland Sutton obviously getting involved. Troy Franklin had a role. J.K. Dobbins over 100 yards. R.J. Harvey had a really good game. I think he was around 100 yards all-purpose, not just rushing. Marvin Mims got involved. Just an all-around performance there by the Broncos. A good Broncos defense. This is, like I said, a Philly team that's kind of just been kind of sputtering along so far. They kind of let Tampa Bay back in the game last week. They won yet again, but it was another one where they just kind of escaped. The Broncos, they're going to make this a game. We'll see if the Broncos can pull it off, but I still got to lean Philly here, 23-17. Just this Philly team finds a way to win. It's not pretty, but they find a way to win, kind of like the Chiefs a couple years ago where it wasn't ever pretty, but they were winning games. Next, we get to the Texans going up against the Ravens. The Ravens look terrible against the Chiefs. Lamar Jackson's on the injury report. The Texans might have found a gem in Woody Marks, the running back rookie. This game is kind of interesting. Baltimore on paper is the better team. If Cooper Rush plays, I think it makes this a lot more interesting and probably lean Texans at that point. I'm working off the assumption that Lamar Jackson will play. He hasn't been ruled out or anything crazy. It's kind of just been questionable ever since his hamstring injury. Um, he wasn't really listed as out during the game either. They were like, he's questionable return, and then he just never returned. At some point, they definitely told him, said he was out, but it wasn't something that it was super, super oh no, like the Malik Neighbors injury. So I assume Lamar Jackson will be back here. And with Lamar Jackson back, I don't think this is that great of a game. I got 28-17 for Baltimore. I think they should handle business. I don't see this Texans defense as somebody that can really handle Lamar, Zay Flowers, Derrick Henry, all the different weapons they can throw at you. Devontae Walker as a deep threat who's been very limited in his targets, but somebody that I really like. Rashad Bateman, same thing there, deep threat. I just don't see how the Texans have any answers for that. You're going to have Woody Marks kind of really continue to show out. And then I also don't really love the Houston offense. Nico Collins, kind of the most exciting player in that group. But yeah, 28-17 in the favor of the Ravens. Next, we get to Jackson Dart. Jackson Dart. Chant it with me. Jackson Dart. Yeah, the Giants might have found their guy. Jackson Dart didn't light up the world in terms of his passing numbers, but he showed that he is a running threat last week, and he helped lead them to a victory. And I didn't expect that. I did not expect that out of Jackson Dart. I was like, well, there might be some rookie moments, but he's somebody that I think he could develop into something good. I've been trying to trade for him in all my fantasy leagues that are dynasty because I really think he can be a good player. And he will have some ups and downs this year, especially without Malik Neighbors. Maybe they go out and target a receiver because I think it's like Darius Slayton, Wan'Dale Robinson, Jalen Hyatt probably going to be thrusted back into a role for this team. Theo Johnson, just not a very good supporting cast. Cam Skattebo, somebody that you should be helpful, though, for Jackson Dart. But he really showed up and showed out in that game last week. Shout out to Jackson Dart. Shout out to kind of everybody who's been saying, hey, man, it's not a thing against Russell Wilson, but, let's just play the rookie. Same thing happening over in Cleveland right now. Just play the rookie, man. Just play the rookie. But, yeah. Then you get the Saints, and you got Chris Olave coming off throwing an interception. Yes, I did not stutter. He threw an interception. Trick play. He threw an interception, of course, because he's on my fantasy team. But anyways, with Chris Olave, he's had a better year this year. Staying healthy, doing his thing. This Saints team just not very good. Giants win this one 28-17. Next, we get to the Raiders. Ashton Jeanty, what a performance against the Bears. Going up against the Colts. Colts came up short. Kind of what I expected. I think this Colts team was more so just the beneficiaries of a good start rather than they're just good. It's a good defense. How long can you expect Daniel Jones to be good, though? I don't really know that answer. I'm going with the Colts to win it. I don't think Vegas is a great team. They were a little bit more physical than we've seen them against the Bears. Of course, it's against my Bears. Max Crosby just dominated Theo Benedict there early on. Then you put Ozzie Trapillo to that side, and Max Crosby was more so limited. But this Raiders team might have found something here. The run game started to open up. Geno was terrible. Geno was terrible. I'm not going to lie to you. There was 3 interceptions, and the Bears' pass rush doesn't get to you. So he was throwing those without pressure on him. So it wasn't a good performance by Geno whatsoever. The Colts, I think, probably a little bit more of a consistent defense than the Bears. The Bears kind of had their highs and lows. We'll see what happens here, but I'm leaning the Colts 24-21. Next, we're coming to Miami. We're wishing a quick recovery for Tyreek Hill. And then you get to the Panthers, who one week they win by 30, the next week they suck. I mean, I don't know what to expect out of this Panthers team. Your guess is as good as mine. But we unfortunately got to talk about 2 teams here that just struggle to get going. Tyreek Hill obviously being out kind of puts a damper on the Dolphins win. So that's going to kind of thrust Malik Washington into a bigger role, and some other guys there as well. Jalen Waddle obviously being the main beneficiary, and then you got Devon Achane, Ollie Gordon, those guys all probably going to see an increase in usage because you're losing Tyreek Hill. And then the Panthers, they're week to week, man. I don't know what to expect out of the Panthers. This is a coin flip for me. I respect both teams, but I don't really believe in either team. I'm going Carolina to win this one, 24-21. It's just this isn't a good game. This isn't a game I want to watch. This isn't a game that I have much fantasy stake in. I do have Tetero McMillan and Chuba Hubbard, but that's about it. Don't have anybody on the Dolphins. It's not a great game. Next, we get to a more exciting game. Tampa Bay, who is always a fun watch because Baker Mayfield's there, and the Seahawks, who have been pretty good. Kenneth Walker, big week. Charbonnet, obviously good. Sam Darnold starting to look more like the Minnesota version. Torrey Horton kind of coming along well. JSN, Cooper Kupp, good offense, solid defense. Got Dev Witherspoon. I think the one maybe weak point on their defense might be Tariq Woolen. But this is going to be a fun game. I expect Baker to sling it against them, probably targeting Tariq Woolen. But with that being said, I still got Seattle winning 28-24. I think it's going to be a fun game. I think it's going to be real fun. Bucky Irving on the injury report, though, maybe could put a damper into the Buccaneers. So we'll see about that. But, yeah, I'm going with the Seahawks to win this one. Next, we go to the Tennessee versus Arizona game, and these are two guys on the screen right now that are struggling. Marvin Harrison started to figure it out, but he did have a drop that led to an interception in last game, and it's kind of been like, oh, well, where's this drop issue coming from with Marvin Harrison? He did make a good touchdown catch in that game. So you want to see Marvin Harrison continue to take steps forward, right? Like, this is one of the best receiver prospects we had just a year ago, and so far we've kind of seen him struggle. And that's an oddity because everybody expected so much out of him, and the expectations for him were like sky high, and so far it hasn't been that, right? So we'll see with him what it ends up being. But then you got Cam Ward. Cam Ward right now, statistically, one of the worst QBs in the NFL. Not that he has a great supporting cast, but Calvin Ridley's not getting the ball. Alec Ayamanor getting a few targets here and there. Just not a good offense. They don't move the ball well. They don't do much well. And Cam Ward, he's somebody that at Miami made me a believer. Washington State as well. He was a really good QB there. I tend to believe he'll turn things around, but so far it's not looking good, and he's came out and kind of called out the team for their poor performances. So we'll see if things get turned around. But until I see a game in which Tennessee's offense provides any sort of juice, any sort of life, Arizona's winning this game 24-10. I can't pick Tennessee until they prove it to me. That's going to be a baseline thing for the rest of the season. Once I see that there might be some life in this Tennessee offense, then maybe I'll pick them. But the Titans right now, just their offense is extremely uninspiring. And then Arizona, not necessarily lighting the world on fire, but just a team that is a lot more well-rounded and able to score, and you got an okay defense, right? Like, they're not going to win a Super Bowl, I don't think. Maybe they will. But I just tend to think that they're just going to have their way with the Titans. Next, we get to the Commanders versus the Chargers. Jaden Daniels, I assume, will be back for this one. And then the Chargers coming off of a loss to the Giants, kind of unexpected. Quentin Johnston, I'm waiting for the week that Quentin Johnston isn't that guy, but we're through 4 weeks, and Quentin Johnston's been that guy every week, man. Maybe Quentin Johnston finally figured things out. I keep saying maybe. He just might have, because he's been far and away the best receiver on that Chargers team with Ladd McConkey, with Keenan Allen. It doesn't matter. Quentin Johnston's number one there. Commanders, they found themselves a gem as well in Debo. Debo's been really good for them. So we'll see if Jaden Daniels ends up playing. Maybe that will swing things back in the Commanders' favor. But I got it being a tight game, 28-24 for the Chargers. Just a team at home I expect to trust, especially coming off a loss against the Giants where they're going to be a little disappointed in themselves. Next, we get to Detroit going up against the Bengals. I'd flex this game to 12 o'clock, man. I don't think anybody wants to watch this. And I'm going to guess that this is probably the game I'm going to get in the 3 o'clock window at where I'm based. Detroit 35, the Bengals 14. This Bengals offense with Jake Browning ain't it. Trade for Jameis Winston. Trade for somebody, man. Trade for Russell Wilson. Trade for somebody. Trade for somebody, man. You're wasting Jamar Chase. You're wasting Chase Brown. You're wasting T. Higgins. And in the commentary, man, they were like trying to back this guy up, Jake Browning. And don't get me wrong, he's somebody that's been capable in the past, but they were like, well, he's not getting much help from his supporting cast. He's not making accurate he threw the ball over Jamar Chase's head about how many times? Like 10? T. Higgins, he just kept throwing jump balls to him where it was a true 50-50. Like, he wasn't really putting players in positions to succeed necessarily. I mean, the offense without Joe Burrow just makes the whole team worse. I've never seen something like it. Special teams, it took a hit. Defense took a hit. Offense took a hit, obviously. But I don't understand how everybody took a hit for Joe Burrow. We had Joe Burrow go down and the defense got worse. The offense got worse, which makes sense. The special teams got worse. Everything got worse with one offensive player going down. It's not like he's a special teamer. It's not like he plays defense like Travis Hunter, right? But it all got worse. It all got worse. They can't stop anybody. Their special teams is not good. Their offense is miserably struggling to get things done right now. What's the answer? Is it trading for Jameis? Is it? I don't know. This is not the kind of season you expect when you pay Jamar Chase, when you pay T. Higgins, when you have Joe Burrow on contract, and obviously he's hurt, so you can't hold that against him. But you're kind of in a mindset of you're all in. You brought Trey Hendrickson back for a season. You have Shamar Stewart in the draft, who's supposed to be an interrupter. And we haven't seen any of that. This Bengals team, man, I don't want to watch them play until they figure out something that can maybe give them some juice. But right now, they got no juice. Detroit wins that one easily. Easily wins that one. Next, we get to New England versus Buffalo. This would be an okay game. TreVeyon Henderson starting to come along a little bit. In Buffalo, obviously, we know that they're really, really good. Expect them to usually succeed. James Cook, the guy that's pictured, obviously. Expect him to have a big game here. Josh Allen, same thing there. Not much to say, really. This is a game that completely favors the Bills. It's in Buffalo. It's easy for them. 32-21, give me the Bills. Then we're going to wrap it up with the Chiefs, who shockingly played really well against Baltimore. And then the Jaguars, who was finding ways to win. Believe it or not, the Jaguars' offense looked like maybe they figured something out. Like, ETN's been really good. They haven't had much Travis Hunter and Brian Thomas Jr. involvement. That picked up this week a little bit. Maybe Trevor Lawrence is figuring things out. I don't know, man. I don't tend to trust Trevor Lawrence very much. So this is a Monday night game. Something that usually just kind of underwhelms. I think Kansas City probably dominates. I'm going 35-24 in the favor of Kansas City. Just not really looking forward to it. We're going to have to see the Jaguars offense show more signs of being able to have some life in the passing game before I get too excited about this Jaguars team. But they got the playmakers to make the plays. Can the quarterback get it to them? That's kind of the Jaguars' problem at the moment. Anyways, thank you for watching. Let me know down below who you guys think will win this week. If you are one of the teams on a bye, let me know down below as well. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.